First off, if you go down to the hub or in my office in room 214, there are sample forms of the 8843 for you to complete. So if your friends weren't able to make the session, it's okay. You can just go down there and take a look at what the form looks like. I'll be going through the sections of the form that you need to complete and where to mail it to. At the end of the presentation, feel free to grab one of these envelopes. They're pre-labeled with the IRS address on it. You just need to slap a stamp on it and stick it in the mailbox, okay? All of this content is on my Holt, so if anyone missed it or if you need a refresher, it's there. You can go on and look at it, okay? You can mail them all together. Yeah, I'll go into that, yeah. So again, this information on U.S. taxes is general in nature. Holt is legally not able to give any tax advice or any specific tax instructions. We're only provide general information. Accordingly, please refer to the resources at the end of this presentation for specific tax questions. Okay? So what do you have to do? All students who are on F1 and J1 visas, and if you have dependents who are on F2 and J2 visas, who are physically present in the United States in the year 2014, you are required to fill out Form 8843. You're required to fill out this form even if you did not earn any income in the United States. You do not need a Social Security number or an ITIN to complete this form. Okay? The deadline to submit this form is June 15th if you did not earn any income. If you have income from year 2014, you will need to file additional tax requirements, and that deadline is April 15th. So if you have earned income in the United States last year, you have the obligation to file your tax return in addition to the 8843, and you need to submit that to the IRS by April 15th. If you did not make any income and all you're filling out is the 8843, your deadline is June 15th. Yeah.
Just a question. I'm not sure if this is specific, but if you have a standard bank account and you earn 3 cents of interest income, does it count as earning income in 2014?
Likely not, but you want to talk to somebody about that.
Okay.
Yeah, but likely not. Yeah.
I have a question. What means file a form? Is it the date of the sending?
Yeah, it needs to be postmarked in the mailbox by that date, yeah. So how to file Form 8843. The link here is the link to the PDF that you can find. You can also Google Form 8843 and the first thing that will pop up is this PDF. So I'm going to go through section by section on this form, and again the hub also has samples of this, and so does Visas and Compliance. So the first thing you need to fill out is your first name and your last name. That's it. Then it says U.S. taxpayer ID number. If you have one, you're going to include it. That's your Social Security number or your ITIN number, but if you don't have it, you're going to leave that section blank. Then you're going to fill out the address of your country of residence. So this is your home country address. And the box next to that is the address in the United States where you are currently living at the moment. Do not put the whole address. You're going to put your physical apartment address, your dorm address, whatever it is where you're actually living. Any questions? So your address in the country of residence is your home country address. So your address from back home. Yeah, so 2 different addresses, your home country address and your U.S. address. So the first part is the general information. The questions are pretty straightforward, but I'll take you through them. 1A says the type of U.S. visa, for example, FJMQ, and the date you entered the United States. You're going to put your current visa category. For most of you guys, it will be the F visa, the F1, and the date of entry is going to be your most recent entry into the United States. If you don't remember when you last entered the United States, just take a look at your passport. They stamp it every time you come into the country, and it has that date. So just take the most recent one. Letter B is current non-immigrant status and date of change. For most of you guys, this will also say F1 student. if you guys were in the United States in another visa status, you're still going to put your current non-immigrant status. Number 2, of what country were you a citizen during the tax year? That's basically going to be your country of residence, or country of nationality, your citizenship. 3A, country issued you, what country issued you a passport? It's going to be whatever your passport says. And then 3B, enter your passport number. Any questions about that? Pretty straightforward, right?
About the current status, what's that, the type of visa?
So it's whatever your current immigration status is, F visa, J visa, whatever it currently is at the moment. The reason why they ask that question in addition to 1A is because there are students who change their immigrant status while they're in the United States. So whatever your current one is. 4A, enter the actual number of days you were present in the United States. This is probably the hardest part of the form. You just need to count the number of days you were in the United States for the past 3 years. Yes. Yeah. Just be approximate. Be approximate.
So that has to include the desert work year and the tourist visas or whatever.
Yes. Yeah. Every single day you're physically in the United States for the last 3 years. That's probably the hardest part, but just be as approximate as you can. Be approximate. Just be approximate. Yeah. And to be very honest, I don't know what the IRS does with these forms. I don't think you're going to be punished if you're off by like a day or so. I think it'll be okay. What was that? They will what? Potentially, yeah. And you can also check online. If you go to the CBP website, you can look at all your dates and your travel entries. If you pull up your I-94, it has your travel history online as well.
So what do you mean current non-immigrant status?
So your current non-immigrant status is the current visa status you're on right now. If you're currently on an F1 visa, the answer is F1.
Okay.
Yeah. 4B, number of days in 2014 you claim you can exclude for the purposes of substantial presence test. For most of you guys who have just come in the United States on an F1 visa and you guys were here just for a few months in 2014, most of you guys will check, it'll be the same number as you put for the 2014 section in 4A. For students who have been here longer, who have been in the U.S. for the last few years or were in another non-immigrant status, you want to maybe seek legal tax advice for this part. And for most of you guys who were just here primarily, you came into the U.S., started, and this is your first time in the U.S. On the F1 visa, you're probably going to answer the same as this number right here. Section 3, students. So as you can see, I went from section 1 to 3. So section 2 you can skip, and section 3 is titled students, and that's the part where you need to fill out. Number 9 asks the name, address, and telephone number of the academic institution you attended during 2014. For most of you guys, for all of you guys, it should say Holt International Business School, 1355 Sansom Street, San Francisco, California, 94111, and our telephone number, 415-869-2900. If you were at another school in 2014 as well, go ahead and indicate that. Number 10, enter the name, address, telephone number of the director of the academic or other specialized program you participated in during 2014. You're going to put your dean's name. So for the master students, your dean is Larry Louie. For the undergraduates, your dean is Cornelius Loyal. And then you're going to follow with our address again, 1355 Sansom Street, and then our phone number, 415-869-2900. And again, these forms, they're sample forms in the hub if you guys need this. But you guys, I'm sure you guys know our address. And then number 11, enter the type of U.S. visa, F, M, J, or Q you held during 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011, 2012, and 13. So you're just going to put in the letter, the visa category you're on.
The previous one,
If you were here, yeah. If you were not here in any of these years in a F, M, or J, or Q visa, then you're going to just be blank. No, F, M, J, or Q. Yeah. Any questions? Okay. So number 12, were you present in the United States as a teacher, trainee, or student for any part of more than 5 calendar years? You're going to check yes or no. I will leave you to answer that question yourself. If you check the yes box on line 12, you must provide sufficient facts on the attached statement to establish that you do not intend to reside permanently in the United States. Does this apply to anyone? Okay. Number 13, during 2014, did you apply for or take other affirmative steps to apply for lawful permanent resident status in the United States or have an application pending to change your status to that of a lawful permanent resident of the United States? I will leave you to answer that yes or no. And then if you check yes, you're going to explain in line 14. Otherwise, you're just going to leave it like yes.
For question 7, if we had another type of visa other than the J or Q, like the B1 or B2, do we check that?
Number 7 isn't part of the application you need to fill out. Yeah. So you skip from part 1 to part 3. So you're skipping section 2. Okay. Then you're going to skip sections 4 and 5, and on the second page, you're going to print and sign and date at the bottom. And that is it. Any questions? It's pretty easy. Okay, what to do then? You're going to mail the completed and signed form to the IRS. You're going to place the stamp on the top right-hand corner. You're going to buy a stamp from either your ATM, Safeway, maybe Walgreens, I think they might sell stamps, but the post office sells stamps. And you can buy a stamp and you stick one stamp onto the top right-hand corner. On the left-hand side, you're going to put in your return address. So should the mailman be unable to deliver this letter, it will go back to the address you put at the top corner. If you have any questions or any specific tax questions that are beyond the 8843, these are some of the resources that you can turn to. For most of you guys, for tax purposes, you guys are considered non-resident aliens, so you want to be careful about who you talk to about your taxes and which software you use. H&R Block software, TurboTax software, and TaxSlayer are made for residents, U.S. citizens, and legal permanent residents, so they do not offer tax services for non-resident aliens or students on student visas. So you need to make sure you're using the proper tax software. So SprintTax and Glacier are two of the more popular tax softwares that international students use to file their taxes. If you don't want to fill out the 8843 by yourself, they also have the ability for you to fill out the form online, and they'll mail it for you at a small cost. I think it's like $10 or $15. If you need to talk to somebody about it, Gary Engler is a CPA. He's based in LA, and he primarily works with international students. And then there's various amounts of different tax services all over the city that can help you with non-resident alien tax. And then here's some additional resources. All this information is on my Halt, and this presentation is already on my Halt. And that's it. That's the presentation.